here's how to make a planar mill toolpath. Planar mill is a very, very diverse 2D toolpath that could become your best friend in NX. So what we'll do, we'll go up to create operation, and we're gonna go back to the mill planar type. Here, you're gonna hover over and you'll see planar mill. We'll go ahead and just stick with our quarter flat end mill, so we can say okay. So inside of here, there are many different options on how to use or manipulate a planar mill toolpath. We'll go ahead and just do a couple options here just for demo purposes. So this first one, we'll just cut 2D this inside wall of this circular pocket. So I will say specify floor. I'll click the floor of my pocket, say okay. Then I will go up to my part boundaries, and I'm going to change this to be curves. I'm going to want my tool to be on the inside. I'm going to set my plane at the top here. And then for my curve, I will simply select that circular curve at the bottom. We can say okay. And then what we're going to do is change our cut pattern here to be profile. With this set to profile, it's just going to do singular profile cuts unless you add additional passes right here. So now that I have my floor and my geometry selected for what I want to cut, I'm simply just going to go ahead and say generate. There you can see there's just a singular 2D wall cutting toolpath. Additionally, if there was, say, 90 thousandths of an inch on this wall and I needed to take this in 3 passes, I can set this to be 30 thousandths of an inch, and in additional passes I can say on top of this 1 pass I'm making, I want 2 more. That way it takes 3 passes at 30 thousandths of an inch. Now if we say generate, you'll see that we'll have 3 passes here to cut that wall. Inside of this toolpath, you can also add stock to leave to your wall right here. You can add floor stock right here, or if you were to have a trim boundary to avoid something, you can add trim stock. Another very powerful thing with this toolpath is it has the ability not only to just step over, but also step down. So we might want to not have any additional passes here. So change that back to 0 and generate. Oops, sorry, that did not take my change. Generate, and now we have our singular pass, but we want to step down the wall. We can come here to our path settings and do a common cut depth that's constant at 100 thousandths of an inch. If we generate that, you'll now have downward or axial depth of cuts going down that wall to finish it. There is also a method here that we can do, so this would be the second option. If we changed this to follow part, periphery, zigzag, zig with contour, or adaptive, we have more roughing methods to do this pocket. So what we can do, we'll just go ahead to follow periphery here, and we'll keep our distance at 30 thousandths of an inch. I'm going to go ahead and get rid of my common cut depth, but now having that same circle chained there and my floor right there, I'm going to add a trim boundary of this face, and I'm going to trim that away to the inside. I do not want to go inside of that. So we'll go ahead and say okay, and now if I generate this, you'll see that we have a toolpath that cuts in a follow periphery style around this pocket floor. I can go ahead here and add a 1/4 inch of trim stock. But what we're gonna do is we can now just change this and see how these settings change the style. So follow part did the same thing because it's following that circular size. If we go to zigzag, we're gonna get a different method here. So there are many different ways that we can manipulate this planar mill toolpath to rough a pocket, to finish a floor, to finish a wall, to step over a wall, high speed a wall, step down a wall. There are so many different options inside of this toolpath that it's kind of a toolpath that really could be your best friend once you figure out exactly all the details and how to manipulate the settings.